Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Part 226 based on novel. So let's start. After leaving Radiant City, we took a short rest to reorganize ourselves. Because we didn't hear about the news, we returned. Just now, we caught wind of news about how the Heavenly Soul Empire. Elder Xiao nodded. I see. The Sun Moon Empire would never have changed their battle plans if all of you were to only attack those normal cities. But you exceeded everyone's expectations by successfully attacking Radiant City. After that, the Sun Moon Empire had no choice but to view all of you with great importance. It also seems like your team left some tracks behind which allowed them to trace you. Hence, they are demanding us to turn you over to them within 10 days. Huiyuhao thought for a while before saying, Elder Xian, I don't think it's that simple. Elder Xian seemed to be curious about what Huiyuhao was hinting at. Tell me what you think about this. Huiyuhao said, I don't think it's very likely for the Sun Moon Empire to pass orders to the front line to demand that the Academy turn me in. After all, they would probably think I'm still in the Sun Moon Empire. Also, it would be impossible for the Academy to contact me in 10 days. Furthermore, they should know that it would be futile to ask the Academy to turn me in. Zhong Leshuan said, could they be using this as an excuse to attack the Academy? Once again, Huiyuhao shook his head. I don't think so. The time they are giving us is way too long. 10 days is considered very long for a battle that uses soul tools. If they are willing to give us 10 days to turn me in, it doesn't look like they intend to attack us directly. Of course, there's still a possibility that they are just trying to numb us before launching an attack. But from the looks of things, I think that's quite unlikely. Why is that? Princess Wei Na asked curiously. Huiyuhao said, the current commander of the Sun Moon Empire's 3 armies is the War God Empress. I actually know her personally from back when I was in the Sun Moon Empire for the exchange program. She was my senior sister back then, as we learned and studied under a common teacher. Hence, we have a pretty decent relationship. While he talked about his relationship with Zhu Zi, Tang Wutong pinched his thigh under the table. Of course, Huiyuhao did not show any expression of pain on his face as he continued, this senior sister of mine was not particularly gifted in building soul tools or cultivating. However, she possessed immense gifts when it came to military affairs. Previously, she was the one who came up with the entire plan to feint an attack on the Mingdo mountain range before striking the Heavenly Soul Empire. After penetrating the borders of the Heavenly Soul Empire, she returned to the Sun Moon Empire to give birth to their prince. During that time, the Sun Moon Empire's army was particularly quiet due to her absence. However, she has now returned. She is very clever with her tactics and does not indulge in any meaningless battles. If she knew it was impossible for the Academy to turn me in, there must be some deeper reason why she planted her troops around Shrek City. In my opinion, it isn't likely that they would attack the Academy directly. Dean Yang said, but we cannot eliminate this possibility. Otherwise, if they were to launch an all-out attack on us, the blood and sweat which has been invested in the Academy for the past 10,000 years would be destroyed in an instant. We cannot afford to let that happen. Huiyuhao sighed and nodded. This is exactly why Zhu Zi is so smart. She understands how we have no choice but to rescue Shrek City and the Academy, and hence employed this method to control us. In fact, at this very instant, both Star Luo Empire and Douling Empire would love to see the Sun Moon Empire do this to us. Why is that? Tang Wutong could not help but ask. Huiyuhao explained, it's very simple. If the Sun Moon Empire were to attack us, how can Shrek Academy not defend itself? This would make us on our location an important pivot in the war. The only way for us to stand a chance would be to gather all the troops from the Star Luo and Douling empires. And since both empires are fairly close to us, they can definitely send their troops over in 10 days. After hearing his explanation, a heavy silence fell upon the room. They were all beginning to sense the true intentions behind her moves. This was an elaborate yet overt scheme designed by Zhu Zi. By threatening the enemy's allies would have to rescue them. This would create a tactical space for Zhu Zi's troops to attack or retreat. no one would know what she had in mind for her next move. If Zhu Zi were to attack, Shrek Academy would definitely not be able to fend them off by themselves. Hence, they had to call for external reinforcement. Shrek Academy was simply unable to afford any losses. However, what if the Sun Moon Empire chose to hold their horses and wait it out when the reinforcements finally arrived? Or what if they chose to take other actions instead? How should the Academy react? At this instant, the entire Sea Gods Pavilion was quiet. Everyone seemed to be very frustrated and depressed by their current circumstances. The Sun Moon Empire had only moved their troops forward by 50 kilometers and fired some fireworks. But this was enough to cause a headache for Shrek Academy. Even Elder Xian, who was usually extremely calm and composed, started to frown. It was apparent that he was becoming very worried about the circumstances. Xian Lina said, "Elder Xian, is it possible for us to get help from the Great Star Do Forest? After all, we have been sharing a pleasant cooperative relationship with them all this while. The Spirit Pagoda is also based in our city. If we can get them to help, it would be a lot easier to stop the Sun Moon Empire from attacking us." Elder Xian shook his head and said, "I know the beast got the best. It's impossible to ask him to help us. In fact, he can't wait for us humans to kill one another and weaken the human race's power. This would grant soul beasts a greater amount of living space. After all, this battle is mainly taking place between soul masters and soul engineers, who both need soul rings. It would be a blessing for every soul beast if more soul masters were to die." Qian Duoduo said, "Then what if we were to attack instead? After receiving our signal for help, the Star Luo Empire and Do Ling Empire would definitely send their troops over as fast as possible. Under these circumstances, do you think we would stand a chance if we were to fight them head-on with our full power? At the very least, we can stop them from doing other things." Hui Yuhao shook his head and said, "It will be very difficult for us to fight them head-on. They would only have to convert their soul tool deployment areas into forts to protect themselves from our attacks. Even if we were eventually able to penetrate their defenses, it would be at great cost. The chances of us doing that are just too slim. Our only advantage is that we have a greater number of individuals who are highly skilled in combat. However, our collective strength is a long way from theirs." Xian Lina frowned and said, "Then what should we do? We can't defend, right? It will be hard to defend against them." Tang Wutong suddenly spoke. "I think the best thing for us to do now is wait. We should not ask for help from the Do Ling and Star Luo empires. This will allow them to focus on defending their own borders." After hearing what she said, Hui Yuhao immediately looked at her. This was exactly what he had wanted to suggest. However, he was a little hesitant about voicing this controversial opinion. "Huh? Why is that so?" Elder Xian was surprised by Tang Wutong's suggestion. The other elders did not seem to be very receptive to it either. They did not seem to be very impressed by what she had said. Tang Wutong's suggestion was a quick recipe for the fall of Shrek City. Tang Wutong looked at Hui Yuhao before letting out a cold grunt. "There are some words which might be hard for you to say. Since that's the case, I will help you say them. I suggested this because the chances that Zhu Zi will attack Shrek City are impossibly slim. As long as we allow Hui Yuhao to meet her and convince her that he is truly in the city, she would never order her army to attack Shrek City." Yang Xiaosha was still confused by her words. "How is that possible? Unless she is scared of Yuhao?" Tang Wutong pouted before complaining, "She is not afraid of him. In fact, she likes him a lot. I believe she will never harm Yuhao. Hence, as long as she knows he is in the city, it is unlikely that she will order her troops to attack it. In my opinion, I believe that her demand for us to turn Hui Yuhao over is but a smokescreen she has created." "What?" The elders were very surprised by her words. The War God Empress of the Sun Moon Empire actually likes Hui Yuhao? This was an unbelievable piece of news. Hui Yuhao blushed after hearing what Tang Wutong said. Tang Wutong also realized that her emotions were not very appropriate as she turned around before sticking out her tongue at Hui Yuhao. Elder Song, who had been keeping quiet all this while, suddenly interjected. "That would be too childish of her. This war is supposed to be part of the Sun-Moon Empire's plan to conquer the entire continent. It concerns the lives of millions. I don't think the War God Empress would allow her emotions to affect her decisions. After hearing Elder Song's words, the other elders could not help but nod. Tang Wutong's opinion seemed to be born out of her jealousy. It was still hard for them to believe that the commander of the Sun-Moon Empire's 3 armies would allow her decisions to be contingent on her feelings for Hui Yuhao. It was no longer appropriate for Hui Yuhao to add any comments to the conversation. Actually, his thoughts were similar to Tang Wutong's. When he saw the fireworks earlier, he had already guessed that it was a smokescreen set up by Ju Zi. However, she probably hadn't expected him to return to the academy so quickly to see the fireworks. It was a brilliant smokescreen. With over 600,000 troops pressuring and threatening Shrek City, the academy would be forced to make a move. And in moments like this, if he were to make the same suggestion as Tang Wutong, he would only receive the same denigration and disapproval from the elders. Elder Xian lamented, "This situation is extremely complex, and we must defend against it at all costs. Shrek City currently has over 100,000 troops. Now that the few of you have returned, we are in much better shape. We need to get the 3 Soul Engineer Legions ready for battle as soon as possible. In addition, we need to start preparing our own Soul Tool deployment areas. Le Xuan, can you inform the Star Luo Empire and Do Ling Empire to step up their defenses, but prepare to assist us when necessary?" "Roger." Zhong Le Xuan acknowledged. "Roger." Hui Yuhao hesitated before agreeing to follow through with the orders. Elder Xian's request was already a compromise between the 2 conflicting opinions. After all, as the master of the Sea God's Pavilion, he had to prioritize the survival of Shrek City and Shrek Academy. The subsequent discussion pertained to the details about their defense plans. Princess Wei Na also expressed the support of the remaining Heavenly Soul Empire troops to protect Shrek City. The meeting continued till late into the night. After it ended, Tang Wutong, Hui Yuhao and Bei Bei left the academy and returned to the Tang sect. Bei Bei seemed to be lost in his thoughts before he asked Hui Yuhao. "Yuhao, I feel like something isn't quite right. Doesn't it feel like we're being led on?" Hui Yuhao sighed and said, "Perhaps it was a mistake for us to return. We not only failed to force them to retreat, but also fell into their trap at Shrek City. Now, we can no longer threaten the Sun-Moon Empire on their soil. It seems like all of our plans have disintegrated. Also, Wutong is right. I believe that with Ju Zi's intelligence, she would definitely not set her aim on Shrek City. The Sun-Moon Empire would definitely not waste their resources on attacking a fort which would be reinforced by the full power of 2 empires. I'm sorry, Yuhao. I should not have phrased it that way. If you were the one analyzing the problem instead, you might just have been able to convince the elders." Tang Wutong lowered her head like a guilty kid. Hui Yuhao held her hand and shook his head. "No, it's not your fault. Even if I were the one who mentioned it, the outcome would not have changed. Ju Zi is just too smart for us. Her overt scheme forces the academy to save itself. After all, she understands how no one in the academy would ever bet on its safety. That's why her tactics are so powerful." Bei Bei said, "However, we can't just leave things like this either. We must think of a way. If not, things will get really dangerous." Hui Yuhao nodded and said, "How about this? Wutong, you head back to the academy and find out more about the deployment of the Star Luo Empire's troops from the inner courtyard. Try and see if you know where the White Tiger Duke and the main forces of the Star Luo Empire are. Eldest senior brother, let's head back to treat teacher Xiao Ya. After we are done with that, I will make a trip to find the White Tiger Duke to explain about the complexity of the current situation to him. I will also remind him to take care of himself, and to keep an eye on the situation. As for the Do Ling Empire, I will head there immediately after I'm done with the Star Luo Empire. Because we only know the Heavenly Sun Dolor, I guess we can only ask him for help. Let's try and see if we can convince the Do Ling Empire to limit the number of troops they plan to send over to reinforce us. A couple of thousand years ago, under the leadership of the Academy, we were able to gather the power of all 3 empires to defeat the main force of the Sun-Moon Empire. This sent them fleeing back home in defeat and set the foundation for a few thousand years of peace. I am just worried that the Star Luo Empire and Do Ling Empire are still somehow subscribed to this belief, which is now outdated. If they still believe in it, they will definitely send out all their troops. Then things will become really ugly. Now that the Sun Moon Empire has the upper hand, we can only react to their moves. After finishing his sentence, Hui Yuhao felt an inexplicable sense of powerlessness in his heart. He realized how small his individual efforts were and how useless they were when it came to changing the current circumstances. He had originally thought that the destruction he had created within the Sun Moon Empire would do wonders. However, contrary to his expectations, Zhu Zi was even more ruthless and tactical in the control of her troops. He felt like he had run out of moves. I am still not strong enough. Yuhao? Tang Wutong suddenly called to him. Huh? Hui Yuhao turned around and looked at her. Tang Wutong moved in front of him. She was not much shorter than him, so their eyes were pretty much level. She stared intensely at Hui Yuhao before saying, "Don't lose your confidence." Hui Yuhao was startled, but he immediately understood what she meant. He nodded gently, and revealed a determined smile. Tang Wutong said, "Previously when our teacher handed the baton to us, he hoped that we could one day become the pillars of the academy. He wanted us to protect and develop the academy with our lives. We must not disappoint our teacher. Yuhao, you must be thinking about how small your individual efforts are, right? After seeing how the Sun Moon Empire's huge army is knocking on our door, you feel that our individual abilities can no longer influence the outcome of this war, right?" Hui Yuhao's eyes widened as he turned to look at Tang Wutong. "Wutong, you really understand me?" Those were the thoughts that were in my head. Tang Wutong continued, "That's right. An individual might seem very tiny when compared to a large group. However, if an individual were to become extremely strong and powerful, he or she will influence the outcome of the war in one way or another. Even if others cannot do it, I believe you can. Don't forget you are the only ultimate soldier nurtured by Shrek Academy. Besides, you were never fighting alone. You have me, eldest senior brother, and all of our companions in the Tang sect. In fact, you have the support of the entire academy. Remember this, never give up on yourself at any point in time. You are blessed with gifts that others can only dream of. You have your twin martial souls and the spectral demiplane. If there is one person who can change the fate of the continent, it's you. The only problem is that both of us are not strong enough yet. We need to become stronger to control the proceedings of this war." Bei Bei smiled as he looked at Tang Wutong and Hui Yuhao. "Wutong is right. We should never give up. Even if we were to fail in the end, at least we tried our best, and did it with no regrets." Hui Yuhao became silent. His mind was indeed a mess earlier. Tang Wutong's words helped to wake him up from his messy thoughts. After seeing Hui Yuhao starting to think again, Tang Wutong kept quiet and held his hand. She was trying to use the warmth of her hand to show her support. Zhu Zi, you have really stumped me this time around. If I make a wrong move, I will lose everything I have." Hui Yuhao's mind was racing as this thought recurred over and over again. Sometimes, a sly ploy was easier to deal with than an overt scheme. An overt scheme which forced people to take action was the hardest to deal with. If I want to break out of her scheme, I must make an unorthodox move. The strength of an individual? Ultimate soldier? Suddenly, Tang Wutong's words flashed through Hui Yuhao's mind. He suddenly recalled what his mother had told him before her death. "Yuhao, it seems like you will have to walk the road ahead alone. Mother cannot accompany you anymore. Remember, in this world, you are the only person who you can rely on. You can only do what you want and protect what you want only when you become stronger. I must rely on myself." Boom! The puzzle in Hui Yuhao's head was finally shattered. A powerful spiritual wave radiated from his head and sent ripples into the sky above him. The clouds in the sky started to separate, and the stars became visible again. After taking a deep breath, Hui Yuhao spoke with eyes sparkling with excitement. "Eldest senior brother and Wutong, we must not make the wrong move now. I need both of you to follow what I just said earlier. Wutong, I need you to head back to the academy to find out where the White Tiger Duke is right now. Then, I need eldest senior brother to find him and relay our current situation to him. You must convince him not to send all his troops over. Get him to form an elite legion which can move out at any time. Wutong, I need you to head to Douling Empire. You're the only other person who knows the Heavenly Sun Dolor. Find him and relay the same message to him. If I'm not wrong, Zhu Zi's real target is probably the Douling Empire because it is currently the weakest. Sometimes, the simplest answer is the correct one. Tang Wutong asked, then what about you? Hui Yuhao brought her into his embrace as he stroked her long hair. I will first treat teacher Xiao Ya. Following which, I will begin closed-door cultivation, and push to become a titled Doluor. You're right. If there's one person who can change the outcome by himself, that person will have to be me. I am the only person who can infiltrate the enemy's camp. As the ultimate soldier, I must do it to the best of my ability. Tang Wutong went silent before she nodded fervently. Following which, she turned around and ran back to the academy. She understood the danger Hui Yuhao was getting into. But at the same time, she understood that this was the best possible option now. Once Hui Yuhao obtained his second soul core, he would not just be any normal titled Doluor. Bei Bei looked at Hui Yuhao with sadness in his eyes. Yuhao, you. Hui Yuhao raised his hand and stopped Bei Bei from speaking. He smiled and said, eldest senior brother, as a man I must not cower from any challenge. Let me have a good fight with Zhu Zi. Since she is using an overt scheme, I shall do the same. Let's see who will emerge victorious in the end. After returning to the Tang sect, Hui Yuhao realized that everyone was busy with work. There was only one person sitting in the hall. Tang Ya was still looking very pale. She looked like a pitiful lily as she sat there alone. Hui Yuhao's heart hurt to see her like this. He could still remember her as the bubbly and cute teacher Xiao Ya. However, there was now a look of excitement on her face. Her hands were holding the edges of her shirt as she waited nervously for Hui Yuhao to return. Teacher Xiao Ya. Hui Yuhao strode quickly across the hall. Bei Bei was somehow slower than him as tears started to well up in his eyes. It had been a few years since they had rescued Tang Ya. However, Bei Bei could tell that she had never truly been happy. Her unhappiness was not because of her own lack of health. She felt unhappy because she saw how she was unable to contribute to the success of the Tang sect. Rebuilding the Tang sect had always been her dream. She had previously chosen to leave Bei Bei in order to achieve this dream. This showed how important the Tang sect was to her. Now that the rebuilding of the Tang sect had begun, she was unable to contribute anything as the leader. She could only watch everyone toil hard every day, or even put their lives on the line. The psychological stress far outweighed the physical pain she was undergoing. Tang Ya's condition had stabilized with the help of the Qiankun fortune pills and Hui Yuhao's life guardian blade. However, she was still a young lady who was extremely weak. After hearing the news that Hui Yuhao had returned with the Blue Silver Emperor, how could Tang Ya not be happy when she finally had a chance of recovering? Thank you, Yuhao. After seeing Yuhao, Tang Ya immediately stood up as tears streamed down her face. Hui Yuhao immediately said, Teacher Xiao Ya, there's no need for you to thank me like this. If you and eldest senior brother didn't take me in back then, I wouldn't be here today. Now, I'm going to start treating you. We can catch up after you've recovered, okay? As he spoke, he started to release his spiritual detection, and located the Blue-Silver Emperor within the Tang sect. Bei Bei walked over to Xiao Ya and hugged her lightly. Right now, the gentle big brother of the Tang sect was somehow speechless. He had so much love for Tang Ya, and had probably suffered more than she had after seeing her in a miserable state. After waiting for so many years, a healthy Tang Ya was finally going to return to his side. How could he not be elated? Within a short while, the Blue-Silver Emperor had entered the hall. It knew Tang Ya was its target the moment it stepped into the ball. Her Blue-Silver Grass martial soul was already very weak, even though it was still around. As the Emperor of the blue-silver grass, it was naturally able to sense the state of her martial soul. "Hello, blue-silver Emperor." Bei was finally able to put down his overwhelming emotions and speak again. He bowed before the blue-silver Emperor with utmost sincerity along with Xiao Ya. Hui Yuhao spoke. "Senior, this is my eldest senior brother, and she is teacher Xiao Ya. I believe you should have been able to tell that her martial soul has been severely injured. Hence, we need your help. My eldest senior brother has also sworn not to hunt any soul beasts unless he is attacked by them." The blue-silver Emperor nodded and gave a straightforward reply. "Then let's begin with her treatment. We can talk about the rest later." As it spoke, the blue-silver Emperor raised its hand, which was made out of thick vines, before shaking it lightly. A blue crystal-clear vine floated out and landed in Hui Yuhao's hand. They had been working so hard to find the blue-silver Emperor, and had even announced to the entire continent that they were willing to reward the person who could bring the blue-silver Emperor to Tang Ya. However, all of their efforts had failed until now. The blue-silver Emperor had finally arrived at the Tang sect. Hui Yuhao turned around and looked at Bei. "Eldest senior brother, let's find a meditation room and begin the treatment." "Blue-silver Emperor, I assume you're joining us, right?" "Yes, I will also take a look at her." The blue-silver Emperor nodded. After all, it was very likely that Xiao Ya would be the owner of its spirit. Hence, it made sense for it to show some concern for her. It was extremely easy to find a meditation room in the Tang sect. They chose a meditation room in the rear courtyard and started to begin their preparations. Bei was in charge of safeguarding the treatment process, while Hui Yuhao treated Tang Ya. The blue-silver Emperor would supervise the process by the side. "Teacher Xiao Ya, I need you to sit up straight and cross your legs. Afterwards, relax your body as I try to awaken your martial soul. You will then try to circulate your own soul power. But remember to take it easy and not rush into it, all right?" Tang Ya nodded. But she knew it was impossible for her to not be anxious. She was even more hungry for power than before. But she also understood how important it was for her to be calm in such critical moments. After taking a deep breath, Tang Ya forced herself to calm down as she crossed her legs and sat properly. The blue-silver Emperor suddenly raised its hands before lowering them above Tang Ya's head. Suddenly, a shower of faint blue light landed on Tang Ya's body. The people in Tang sect had tried many different therapeutic methods and soul skills, to no avail. However, under the illumination of this blue light, she seemed to have become a lot calmer and relaxed. Tang Ya flashed a grateful smile towards the blue-silver Emperor before nodding at it. Hui Yuhao moved towards Tang Ya as he held the vine from the blue-silver Emperor in his hand and injected the pure soul power from his mysterious heaven technique into it. The blue-silver Emperor vine immediately radiated an intense blue glow. Tang Ya's small body started to tremble, as though something within her body was resonating with the vine's aura. Even though the life energy in her body had stopped disappearing because of the Qiankun fortune pills, it was no longer increasing. However, at this instant, she felt an inexplicable warmth in her body, as though something was being awakened. Hui Yuhao increased the amount of soul power injected into the vine, until the blue-silver Emperor vine exploded with a popping sound. It transformed into countless motes of blue dust, which floated in the air. At this moment, it was time for Hui Yuhao to showcase his powerful control ability. Under the control of his soul power, the dust continued to spread evenly into the air before entering her body through her pores and nose. Tang Ya's body started to tremble lightly as her skin started to glow with a faint blue color. Hui Yuhao let out a sigh of relief. It seemed like everything was going according to plan. Now, the ball was in Tang Ya's court. The main use of the blue-silver grass vine was to awaken Tang Ya's own blue-silver grass martial soul. Her martial soul had become a lot weaker after its dark parts had been removed. Because the blue-silver Emperor's aura was very strong, it should be able to awaken her martial soul and revitalize it. If everything went according to plan, her cultivation and abilities should return to their original states. She would also start accumulating life energy again, and hence be considered as having truly recovered. Tang Ya held on as she sensed the energy within her body starting to awaken. However, it seemed like the energy which was trying to stir her own energy was a little weak. Even though she could sense it, she was unable to borrow its power to activate her own energy. Tang Yue started to panic. She only had one shot, and if this failed, the outcome was unthinkable. As the panic in her heart intensified, she became more helpless. She was starting to lose touch with the energy within her body. As a result, the Blue-Silver Emperor's energy and effects started to weaken. No, this can't be it. Tang Yue became really anxious as she tried her best to attract the energy. Because of her panicking, the energy from the Blue-Silver Emperor started to become messy and convoluted. Hu Hao was also startled by the sight before him. He had been using his spiritual detection to monitor Tang Yue's situation. He also became worried after seeing how her energy flow was becoming chaotic. However, no one present could help her. This concerned one's control over one's martial soul. It was not something that soul power from external sources could help. It concerned her special relationship with her martial soul. At this instant, a blue figure suddenly appeared behind Tang Yue. He raised his arms as several vines swarmed out and wrapped themselves around her body. Following which, his body started to radiate a powerful blue glow as it started to release a powerful aura. That was not the aura from his soul power. It originated from the martial soul's bloodline aura. It was the Blue-Silver Emperor. Tang Yue's body trembled violently for a short while before it stabilized. One would be able to see a small blue glow radiating from her dantian. Conversely, the light from the Blue-Silver Emperor's vines was partially concealed by the bodies of the veins, resulting in a mystical sight. Did it succeed? Hu Hao turned around to look at Bei Bei with excitement in his eyes. He realized Bei Bei was looking at him with hopeful eyes as well. Both of them were very anxious to know the results. It seemed like the Blue-Silver Emperor had made a critical intervention at the most crucial moment. Hu Hao could sense that this was a successful attempt. As expected, Tang Yue's breathing started to become stable as her body stopped trembling. She started to possess her own soul power fluctuations. The Blue-Silver Emperor loosened its vines which were wrapped around her as it returned to Hu Hao's side. The martial soul in her body has already been awakened. It is truly one of the purest blue-silver grass I have ever seen. In addition, she also seems to possess the true blue-silver grass royal blood. Thank you, Hu Hao. You have helped me find a really good host. If I can really fuse with her and become her spirit, I am certain we will share a fruitful symbiotic relationship. Thank you. Hu Hao and Bei Bei bowed in unison to the Blue-Silver Emperor. We should be the one thanking you. Without your help just now, she would have been in serious danger. Tang Yue's breathing finally stabilized as the soul power fluctuations from her body started to become stronger. Even though the increase was not significant and her current soul power was probably only at the soul scholar level, this improvement could be sensed by Hu Hao. Bei Bei was also able to sense it through Hu Hao's spiritual sharing. It seems like teacher Xiao Yue will need to cultivate under closed-door conditions for an extended period of time. This time around, I am certain that she will recover all of her soul power after her closed-door cultivation. When that day comes, we will just need to provide her with tonics and herbs to help her get back to her best state. Eldest senior brother, why don't we get third senior brother to head to the Star Luo Empire instead? You can stay behind to accompany teacher Xiao Yue. Bei Bei shook his head and said, everyone is busy with their own responsibilities. I think it's still better for me to head to the Star Luo Empire. I think I will be a lot more persuasive as a member of the Sea God's Pavilion than third senior brother. Yu Hao, I will leave right away after you help me pen the letter. I will go and talk to Nan Nan and Xiao Xiao and get them to take care of Xiao Yue for me. Bei Bei was raring to contribute to the war. Now that Tang Yue was well on her way to recuperation, it was almost as if all his worries had disappeared. As his emotions improved, his entire mental state seemed to have become completely different. All right. Since they had no time to lose, Hu Hao did not waste any time with formalities. By the time Bei Bei was done relaying instructions to Xiao Xiao and Jiang Nan Nan, Hu Hao was done with the letter. After receiving the letter, Bei Bei immediately left for the Star Luo Empire without resting at all. After passing some reminders to Jiang Nan Nan and Xiao Xiao, Hui Yuhao left for the Soul Tool Hall. He went straight to Xian Ziwen's laboratory. Before his closed-door cultivation, he had some things he wanted to ask teacher Xian. Hui Yuhao knocked twice on the laboratory's metallic door. There did not seem to be any response from within the laboratory. Hui Yuhao was used to this, and he opened the door and entered quietly. Xian Ziwen was busy constructing a soul tool within the laboratory, just as Hui Yuhao had expected. He did not even look up to see who had entered. "Teacher Xian, I'm back," Hui Yuhao announced softly. This video will end here.